Today's episode of Last Time On covers Shameless Season 8, Episode 10, which is an episode that deals with alcoholism, suicide, and death. So, dear listener, if that is a subject that makes you uncomfortable, please feel free to go ahead and skip this episode, and we will see you again next week. Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Last Time On. This is the podcast for people who want to watch all this prestige television, but who's got time for it?
I don't, but apparently there's a 24-hour waiting period.
That is true.
I don't have time for it either, guys. We're going to have to wrap this up quickly because I've got a date after the show with a sassy Russian ex-prostitute seeking a single geriatric male with terminal illness and wads of money. And hey, I've got at least one of those things. I actually have
Terminal illness?
None of those things. Well, okay. I have an illness. It's not terminal, I hope. I have some money. I have like $17 here on me. So
is that before or after your DoorDash smoothie?
Let's not talk about that, dude. Reminds me, I got to tip that guy. Welcome back to the show, everyone.
I am Ben.
And I'm Victor.
And we're here to talk about Shameless Season 8, Episode 10. But before we do, Victor ambushed us at the start of recording.
That's what I do.
With a proposal of if there were a Last Time On movie,
so
who would be cast in our roles.
Let me ask this to you gentlemen. In a world. Wait, hold on. No. Different. Let me get my trailer man voice. Okay. This summer, based on the incredible true story of the podcast that redefined how we watch television. Last Time On, the movie, starring Alan Tudyk as Ben, Michael Pena as Victor, and Nick Offerman as Xhafer.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Okay, I thought we weren't casting ourselves. Okay.
Look, I want to be Michael Pena, okay? I feel like he could be.
All right.
Okay.
I called dibs.
That's fine.
What do you guys think? Who's your pick? Oh, and I would pick Catherine Hahn as Laura. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah.
Han.
Catherine Hahn. She's so amazing.
You do.
All right. For my casting of... This isn't... I'm not going to call it Last Time On, the movie. This is Last Time On, Revenge.
Ooh.
Last Time On Harder.
The sequel.
We will say, Victor, you are going to be played by Clifton Collins Jr. I didn't pick anybody for me.
I didn't pick anyone for me either. Don't worry about it.
So I'll just say I'm played by Walton Goggins, because I love Walton Goggins. And Xhafer, you are played by Tig Notaro.
Yes. Was it because you got someone else who's problematic?
No, because Tig Notaro can play anyone.
I'm not saying Tig Notaro couldn't play me. All right. I just want to know the series of events of casting because there's a difference between casting Tig Notaro and recasting with Tig Notaro. And I'm okay with either. I just want to know which.
If I'm picturing somebody who can, like, on screen be mean to me, I'm like, it hurts less if it's Tig Notaro.
I would totally love for Tig Notaro to be mean to me too. That just sounds hilarious.
All right.
Oh, this guy you picked for me was okay. He was one of the goons the Romulan goons in Star Trek 2009. Yeah. I can dig that. I like that.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. Clifton Collins Jr. along with Rockwell are two actors that I'm just like, they never do anything wrong. I love them in everything.
I got my picks locked here. Victor, when I think of you, I think of someone who has the ability to ramble incoherently, yet be very interesting while they're doing it.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever said about me.
Probably true. And when I think of that and actors who can pull that off, I think of Michael Sheen.
Drawing a blank, too.
He's in Good Omens.
Four Feathers.
He's in all kinds of stuff.
Oh, this guy. I always get him confused with Golem.
Andy Serkis.
Oh, Andy Serkis?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see that.
Awesome.
Ben, when I think of you, I think of someone who looks like they're about to yes and me and then contradicts me violently. So when I think of that and actors who can do that well, I think of course, Between Two Ferns, Zach Galifianakis, the master of the about to yes and then doesn't.
That's an excellent pick for Ben.
Fun.
Okay.
So stay tuned, everyone. It's coming to theaters everywhere in the next 15 years, months after. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got a stake now because I was going to tell you guys this before we started recording it, and then I forgot to. Our formula is now officially patent pending.
You did not.
We're no longer pending.
We're no longer patent pending. I have started to do the paperwork and research in order to actually file a patent. God, what was the name? Method for randomly viewing sequential media in a condensed form, I believe is going to end up being the actual legal name of the patent.
Method for randomly.
Oh, no. Patent names are a mess. You can't try and.
Oh, I'm making an
acronym.
Dude. Do not doubt my skill to create an acronym where there shouldn't be one.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, I started the ball rolling on that this morning. I have rewritten our algorithm to be in an actual, like, instead of it being almost like a game where I know how the rules work and I can come up with a result, I've written an actual mathematical algorithm now with table references and stuff. I've got to do some technical drawings, and I've got to do another like 10 hours of searching through patents to make sure that there's not something that else can claim it. But I'll tell you what, I spent a couple hours on it today and I found nothing. So I'm really not even like nothing close. So I've got good vibes about it right now.
Hey.
And we are officially our patent pending formula.
All right.
From
Yes.
here going forward. Because all you need to do is start the paperwork, not even file it, but just start the paperwork to say patent pending is what I found in my research today.
This is amazing.
I really just want to be a patent holder so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's dumber patents out there for more useless shit. It's like this.
Yeah.
What we're doing here can actually change people's lives. I mean, not for the. I didn't say for the better, but it will definitely make a change.
Fair enough.
For some people.
Yeah. No, I think Netflix might be interested in a watch it in 8 button. So we'll see.
Netflix does love to add useless fucking buttons to their service.
They do. They love to ruin their GUI. So let's just give them a chance.
Speaking of ruining the GUI,
giving them a chance. We open on Ian making a map of Chicago's most homophobic churches.
And to say,
And he has plans for them.
this is season 8, episode 10, The Church of Gay Jesus.
We see Lip, Frank, Franny, Liam, and Misty.
you did it again, guys. Did you skip the opening thing with the
Yes.
Why did
The
you
thing
skip
we're not. Because it's this
no, you don't have
recap.
to
You
skip
always
the
skip the recap.
You don't have to, okay, yeah, skip the recap, but you don't have to skip the opening part
Where Frank yells at you for
Frank.
not watching the last episode? Yes. But we don't talk about that because there's nothing there.
I think, okay, well, I was upset with
When he
Frank
demands
because he
$100 to tell you what
demands
happened.
money. He was like, yeah, he wanted $100. He was like, come on, you make a good living. I'm like, Frank, you don't know me at all, do you? God, how long have we been here? And you still, I feel like you don't even know me, Frank. I was very upset. Okay.
It's like,
Okay,
no,
so
Frank, that's the point of the podcast. Don't tell me.
All right, so Ian's got his map of homophobic Chicago. So
Deb
Yep.
is now
It's just the whole
Deb
map.
is now able to do welding.
I see
Yeah.
that. I brought that up. I don't think she can. Like welding. When did she pick up welding?
Well, I'm going to
I
say
think
last
this
time
is
on,
just
she actually learned a trade. The problem is, and they kind of allude to it now, she has the skills. She's just waiting for a spot to open up. And so she's doing some side work until she's able to get an actual welding job. But we see that the grandmother from last episode, who was trying to reclaim or steal Franny from Deb, is now here, happy, taking care of Franny while Deb is working. Glad they're on good
You
terms.
just Zach Galifianakis to me again,
What?
Ben. You just Zach Galifianakis to me 2 times in a row.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm giving up on my joke. Just go. Just edit this out. Just go. I will catch up with my notes when you guys get to where I'm supposed to be.
This is still all at the
Next.
breakfast.
I don't.
Yeah, the breakfast. The
Yeah.
Gallagher. We got the Gallagher breakfast going
Including
on
a new,
And,
crazier person, Cassidy.
new crazier girl, Cassidy, Carl's new girlfriend.
Fiance.
Yes.
Fiance. Yes. Who is somehow crazier than any of the other Gallagher girlfriends that we've seen. They just keep getting worse. They level up.
This is something else.
Xhafer,
Yeah.
have you ever had a girlfriend give you a vial of blood?
No.
Victor, have you ever had a girlfriend give you a vial of blood?
Funny you should ask. I did briefly date a girl who had a vampire fetish. And on our very first date, she wanted to suck my blood. But this girl also...
Did you let her?
Listen,
Did you let her?
Okay, so I thought...
Don't answer. Your face says enough. Listener, I know you can't see Victor's face right now, but the immense guilt that is coming across the screen to me.
Well, it's also, if the answer is no,
I can actually
the
point
answer is no.
where you're at in Texas feeling the guilt.
But anyway, so yeah, we got the crazy girlfriend.
Cassidy has a pile of engagement presents and distributes them amongst the family,
She gives...
ending with the necklace.
She gives Frank a razor, I think.
Yeah.
forgot
Liam
what
gets
she-
a 3DS.
I think that's the best part of this entire episode. Liam deserves a brand new 3DS for all the shit that he's gone through. I'm happy Liam got the 3DS.
And Carl gets cut with a steak knife. So that she can
Yeah.
have her own vial full of his blood.
Which I'm curious about. Like, I don't think that's... Like, after a while, wouldn't the blood, like, go bad and get weird and moldy and stuff?
It's sealed, hypothetically.
I mean,
You'd have
I'm just
to.
saying, like, I've bought... I know you guys
So-
have, like, bought a steak before and then put it in the fridge and forget about it, and then you come back and it's full of mold. And the blood, like, I assume... How does that work?
There are ways. So, like, when you buy a not $3 bottle of wine, usually, what they do is they don't bother on cheap wine, but on nicer wines, usually what they'll do is the little air gap on the top, they'll flush it out with like pure carbon dioxide to help preserve the environment inside the bottle. So I imagine you could do something like that with blood to keep it in a very static. You might not use carbon dioxide, but you might use a noble gas or something.
But with the steak knife in the kitchen.
Oh, no.
No, it's not
I don't
going to work
think
out well. No. We cut over to Fiona, who is painting when Nessa comes in. They have a brief conversation. She notes her partner, Mel, usually picks the colors.
Was that her actual
alludes-
name? Was Nessa?
Because this show-
yes, Nessa and her partner,
Yeah,
Mel.
This show loves having girls who use the second half of their name as the nickname.
That is true, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, there's been a bit of that.
I just recognized her from she was the security chief in the Orville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was. Man, I was just talking about the Orville earlier today.
If she'd opened a jar of pickles, I would
an
recognize.
episode of Who Are You?
Yeah, and she and our space, I forgot what's the name of the race she was. Damn it, I should have looked that up before the show started.
Not the Kalon. That's the robot.
No, she's from the planet with the extra
Robert
gravity.
Picardo, and yeah.
Yeah, that gives everyone superhuman strength.
It's the
Anyway.
planet of the Star Trek doctors, actually,
Yes.
because it's not just Robert Picardo.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so she's decorating. She casually mentions having recently had a miscarriage.
That's exactly what I wrote down in my notes. She has the most casual drop of, by the way, I had a miscarriage ever. That was odd.
Well, like, if they are a lesbian couple, depending on the means of which they are using some, like, what's the word? Surrogacy? No,
Well, they're not
surrogacy.
doing surrogacy because they're carrying the babies.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but that doesn't mean that it's her egg necessarily.
Okay.
There's like all kinds of stuff with the situation, and some of those are very high
Yes.
risk for losing the baby. So this might have been more expected than we have context for. It also maybe is one of those situations where it's very super early in a first pregnancy where there's a very low or a decent, it's bad times if you're unawares. So there's all kinds of stuff we don't have context for, and we won't ever get it. So,
Yeah, who knows?
yeah, who knows what actually happened there? But it is shockingly casual the way she says it.
Yeah.
To the point where my brain was all like, there's no way you say something like this casually. Like, there has to be something else going on. But maybe there isn't. It's this show. Who knows? Anyways, Fiona goes out with Ford to get some furniture for her loft. He convinces her it's worth the money, saying it's an investment in your future to buy nice furniture.
I fucking hate this scene so much because I personally have a thing against expensive furniture. I hate the idea of paying a lot of money for something that's supposed to perform a very simple function. Like I've never bought a litter box. I've always made them myself because I refuse to pay any amount of money for something my cat is going to shit in. So like I've always made them myself. I mean, I paid for the materials, I guess, but
reusing cardboard boxes and stuff, but I have...
No, not a cardboard box, dude. I would get the plastic storage tubs. Like, come on. I'm not that. I have some
I know you care
class,
for your
Xhafer.
cats. I know you care for your cats. I'm not doubting.
I know I'm a hot fucking mess over here who lets random girls suck his blood.
Yeah.
but I take care of my cats. Okay.
I know people who use Amazon boxes as litter boxes and then just throw out the box rather than change the litter.
That might actually be a better solution.
I don't know.
Anyway,
That's
moving on.
It's got its own set of problems. Namely, it's made of cardboard and not plastic.
and full of pee. But
and full
I've
of
got
pee.
so many problems with this. Like, this guy Ford is immediately sending up huge red flags for me. And
Well, I have a whole tirade about this dude when they're at the bar.
yes, me too.
Yeah.
But he convinces Fiona, who seems to be doing better financially than ever before, but still $450 crappy rocking chair is not.
Yeah, he convinces her to buy a $450 chair that he claims he talked down from $2,000. And this chair I hate this chair so much. It just does not look like a $2,000 chair. It looks like a $20 chair to me. But it looks exactly like the chair you'd see in a fucking bougie furniture magazine.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Like, there's definitely a form over function argument to be made with furniture that I appreciate, Vic. I am very utilitarian. Mm-hmm. But I will also say that I'm willing to spend any amount of money on my bed.
That's a good point. I should get
I spend a third of my life there. Like,
it's a very good point.
like I want it to be a comfortable third of my life. Like, I've got bougie ass pillows. I've got bougie ass sheets. I don't care about having to spend $200 on a set of sheets. Like, that's something that even when I was very poor, I would make work because it's worth it to me.
I'm going to have to drop in the Discord this picture of this ad for a bed I saw just today on Facebook, and these beds look amazing. I'll drop it later. Listeners, join our Discord so you can see this amazing bed that I found.
But more importantly, we find out Fiona bought a building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's odd.
So I'm guessing the
sold the diner, sold the laundromat.
or they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Well, there is no mention about the laundromat at all.
Or the diner.
In this episode. Oh, yeah, or the diner. I'm going to say last time on, there is no way that laundromat is still around, dude. That laundromat burned to the ground.
And she got the insurance money.
Exactly. And it was Frank's fault. He set the laundromat on fire accidentally somehow. And probably with what's-her-name still inside
I'm thinking Etta set it on fire trying to stop Frank.
That's a better idea. Yes, I like
Maybe
that.
they got a bunch of insurance money, and that's what she used to buy the building.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lip goes to visit Yeomans in prison, and he's dead. Ewans. He's very matter-of-fact dead.
Yeah.
There was an incident, and this messes Lip up. I immediately remembered that Ewans was the professor.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
Same here.
I've got a bunch of questions about it that are later confirmed later in the episode in my notes. But yes.
We get a lot of Lip
Fiona,
train brooding.
Yeah. So he's upset because the professor that he was the TA for is now dead. Fiona sees a mirror held up to her own childhood with this family out front living out of the car and lets some strangers use her bathroom.
Back at the alibi, Kevin and Veronica are apparently trying to marry off Lana to a rich husband.
So it seems like the throuple didn't quite work out. Svetlana doesn't seem super into the idea. It's definitely Kevin and V are doing this to her.
Yeah.
She wants her independence, and this is probably the best way that they can rationalize her getting it.
I got the vibe that she does not want her independence. She's forced into this because she is very upset that she is all just like that they're helping her. She's like, I am capable of finding my own rich husband myself. So she's pissed off about it. I'm going to say last time on, her attempt to take over the alibi failed because someone turned her into immigration and they found out she's not here legally, so she has to find some kind of way to escape being deported. So then this is the best idea. It's like, well, you're young and hot and Russian. Let's find you an old ass rich husband.
She can't marry Kevin because Kevin is already married to V.
Yeah, that's got.
Ian shows up to work to find paparazzi and fawning fans. So we find out that Ian has been going to churches and yelling at people and causing scenes, which has been getting play on the internet. And so there are people who are completely understanding of, hey, you're doing a really cool thing. And then there are people who are absolutely taking it way too far.
The unspoken thing with all this is we find out Ian also is a working paramedic.
Yeah.
Which is from 2 boyfriends ago.
Oh, that's right.
We saw the episode where he was all like, we'll get you into paramedics and then you can become a firefighter after that.
Yeah, and that boyfriend was the one who had the evangelical homophobic father.
Yeah.
So this has got to be, I'd say there's no way that this is absolutely a result of that. Like his Ian's crusade here.
Fiona is already guilting herself over her indulgence with the chair. She can't feel comfortable letting herself have a nice thing. And then Lip goes to Ewan's home. I'm assuming home. He finds his daughter Tabitha there going through his things. I saw this actress and I'm like, that's Brad Dourif's daughter. I don't know.
What that is?
I don't know if Brad Dourif has a daughter, but that's Brad Dourif's daughter. And then I checked. I did not Google the actress of the episode, thus breaking covenant, but I did Google Brad Dourif and saw that he had a daughter who had a Wikipedia page. So I'm assuming that I am 100% correct in this endeavor.
I meant to write that down because I did notice the last name Dourif at the end credits.
Ha!
Yeah. So didn't have that on my bingo card. So
I don't know. I saw her and I was immediately like, oh man, she's gonna throw herself at Lip. It may not be this episode, but it's happening. We find out that Ewan's died of alcohol withdrawal while in prison, causing a stroke.
Yikes.
We also find out that he paid for Lip to go to rehab.
They tried to make me go to rehab. I said no, no, no.
Yeah, it's tragic. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Lana has her internet date, and it ends how I imagine many internet dates should but don't end, with a punch to the face.
Yeah.
But did you guys clock who that was that got punched in the face?
Yes, I did.
You did. Ben, did you?
I didn't know. I missed it. Who is it?
It's Admiral Paris from Voyager.
Don't give me the Star Trek crap. It's too early in the morning.
It's Tom Paris's dad.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's Richard Hurd.
What was what did he ask her?
He asked her to go out to his car for $40, but take your shoes off.
And I wrote this down in my notes after he insults her with that insulting proposal. She gives him a quick punch right to the nose. And Xhafer, I know you got a martial arts background, so I know you the technique behind this punch was absolutely horrible, but effective at the same time. It just got the point across. It was just like bonk.
He's also very old.
I would argue the most effective martial arts maneuver is the one that gets the point across.
Yes.
Regardless of school or study.
It wasn't like, I wouldn't even classify it as a punch. I would classify it as a very aggressive boop.
A closed hand
like
slap.
a malicious boop. That's what it is.
Having punched a number of faces and throats in my life, 7 out of 10. Did the job. Could have been better, but didn't need to be. Cassidy. Oh, wait. We've got stuff before then. Ian is conducting mass in the living room, and Frank sees dollar signs.
And so this, I was nervous the whole time. Like, is everybody full of it about this? And I'm glad. It seems like Ian actually is following convictions. Frank is a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Ian's not in this just to find people to be angry at. He actually has some righteous justice about this, which I appreciated because I was worried that, like, oh man, are we going to be like 4 levels of disingenuous here while the Gallaghers just make everybody's lives worse?
Yeah, I got the vibe that Ian is exhausted doing this, but is doing it because he feels like it needs to be done. It's like, somebody needs to do this. I'm going to do it. It's fucking exhausting. I don't want these people in my house, but if I don't do it, who will? So I like that about Ian. It shows development as a character with him. And of course, Frank is in the background, is watching this from afar, thinking, how can I exploit this? He's like fucking Todd Howard over there, just like trying to figure out how he can squeeze some fucking money about this, except he's not a successful Todd Howard.
He's not trying to put...
How can I remake Skyrim?
How can I put Skyrim on your refrigerator?
I need gay Skyrim somehow.
There's already mods.
And
I don't even know if you need them. I haven't played Skyrim in a long time.
But I love that. I absolutely love Liam. We hardly ever get to see him in the show, but when we do, like, Frank is like gears turning, and Liam's looking over at him like, "What the fuck are you thinking, Frank? Stop it."
Yeah.
Oh, also, next we get to the scene that makes me the angriest in all of the show. We find out Deb is a class traitor and is scabbing.
Oh, she doesn't know what she's doing.
Drop in
She doesn't even know
solidarity
what's
forever.
She doesn't realize what she's doing. She just needs money. She doesn't even. It's like she even says later, like, she's something to the effect of, she doesn't know what scabbing is.
But she also says later, "Oh, I'm never doing this again. This is terrible." Until she gets the tax-free cash. And it's like, oh, tomorrow night?
Yeah,
She's even more.
I love that Deb is just adorably ignorant of the shitstorm she always finds herself in. That's just really endearing.
Next, I do have to offer an apology. Last episode, I did, with great confidence, say that Carl had joined the military. You were right. He went to military school.
I have a whole chunk of my notes here where I went on a thing about how right I was and how I and you did not and me. You blatantly contradicted me, and how upset I was about that. And then I decided to cross it all out because literally, like, it's all crossed out. And it's because I wasn't going to bring it up. But since you've brought it up,
Let me have it.
I'm just going to I'm just going to bask. I'm just going to bask in my correctness.
Yeah, I was wrong.
For
You were right.
a moment. Oh, say it again.
I was incorrect.
Oh, he's
you
basking.
were correct. You know
Oh,
why?
listeners, you don't see the basking that's going on over
That's
here.
the rules.
That is Bask level 10 going
All
over
right.
here.
like Spain
want you
is
to know
worried that
that-
Xhafer is about to secede. He's so Basque.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I'm going to take this episode. I'm going to edit just that little bit. And I haven't had a custom ringtone in 15 years, but I'm about to have one for when you call me, Ben.
Give us some basking ASMR there,
It will
Xhafer.
be Ben has a 14-year-old on BattleBots saying, "You were right, I was wrong," on repeat.
I was 12, 8th grade.
Well, I guessed.
And Carl is saying he's going back to military school, and here is where we find out just how nuts Cassidy is.
Oh, yeah.
Because she is like, "No, you're staying here and marrying me." They are both in high school.
And she says, "Why did I cut myself for you?" Which is such a huge red flag. Why did I cut myself?
Yeah. They argue very loudly as we move through the wall to Lip, who tries to Yagugalize.
Yep.
Oof.
He is not a great Yagugalizer.
For the listeners at home who might not know what that is, would you give us a definition of what a eugoogleizing is?
That is
asking
how
for-
they say eulogy in the early 2000s film Zoolander.
Zoolander. Yeah, just throw a Zoolander drop in there, and you're good.
It's
Yeah, there's a point where he's like, I'm a great Googleizer. Fiona and Ian catch up as the family comes to weigh in on Carl's relationship, and every Gallagher agrees.
except for Frank.
This is a bad idea.
Frank says,
Except
no,
for
marry
Frank.
her now and make sure she doesn't sign a prenup.
Yeah.
Frank's fucking
Her family
advice.
clearly has money.
Have you guys ever known someone like Frank who is just a fucking dumpster fire but loves giving advice? Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, same here. And sometimes I'm okay. I feel like I'm that person now because 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3
Two
people
out of three
say they know
pod hosts.
that.
I'm sorry,
I'm
is it because we both stared deeply into the webcam when we said yes?
you were looking into my
we
soul,
were-
guys. God.
We were making eye contact because we're both thinking about the same person. It's not you, Vic. Probably. Debbie's new gig gets ruined on night 1 as the scabbing operation gets shut down by the union workers.
Yeah, there's a full-blown fist fight as Deb is just like drinking some water, looking around.
Yeah.
Oh, Deb,
We,
she's so innocent.
Kevin V come up with some further plans to help Lana gold dig involving some spy equipment.
Kevin,
If I could have
doesn't
seen
adore
anything,
me.
I want to see Kevin in a spy shop.
As the man in the chair.
No, just like him shopping and just like, he was like a 7-year-old boy in a candy store, just like, ooh.
He was me in the Lego aisle at Target for sure.
So
Yeah.
two things I noticed about this particular scene. One, he's got his badass bathrobe again. I have to man, listeners in the Discord, if you can find this bathrobe for me, please. I want this fucking bathrobe. And second, he says the most hilarious casual racist thing ever to Svetlana, saying, "Come on, this is spy shit. You're Russian. This is in your DNA."
Also, the microphone is clearly the microphone off of a lavalier mic that just the cord has been cut off of.
Yeah.
I know this because I wear them all day while I am teaching.
Yeah, and there's nothing subtle about these air quotes spy mics and earpieces. They're fucking huge. And this was 2018. They weren't. No, dude. He got these in the bargain bin. These things are very
Fiona
obvious.
also, just before this, sees that homeless family and the guy with the broken leg, the dad with the broken leg, super broken leg, gets delivered via ambulance to the car, and we find we know he fell off the roof. So, gentlemen, I have a question for you. What happened to her?
What the hell happened? Can't explain. But I got the van.
He is a general contractor. I'm going to say, because like I always say, everything is Frank's fault in this show.
That's where I was going to go.
We're going to say in a previous episode, a previous scene, Frank was up on that roof, taking a look at the inspection, trying to like help Fiona. And I'm going to say he left a beer can up there or something. A beer can, or maybe a nail facing the wrong direction or something. Like he pulled something up and pulled a nail halfway out so that it was now in foot stabby range. And our contractor, unknowingly trips on the beer can, puts his foot through the nail that Frank left out in part of his attempts to help, and falls off the roof in a stumble.
That is very, very close to my theory, because at the very beginning of this episode, back when they were having the Gallagher breakfast in the house, did you guys catch that Frank this was just totally glossed over? He was pouring a bottle of what appeared to be Southern Comfort into a Camelback.
Yes.
Okay. Have you guys ever done this? Have you ever had?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thankfully, it's not just a me thing. Yes. Of course, Ben. You're a fucking paragon. Of
I know
virtue
people
over
who
there,
did though.
right?
Did you ever go tailgating?
No, because I was in the marching band.
Oh, yeah.
But I know people
okay.
who, in the marching
So-
band, would have their camel packs
Would do
filled
this.
with adult beverage and would be...
Ben and I went to a party school, and one of the years that we were at our university, they were ranked in the BCS. Like, we had a very good football team one year. And so there was a year in particular where it was crazy. Every football game, every tailgate.
And I was in the marching band for all of it.
Yeah.
Of course.
I was drinking in a parking lot for all of it. So, you know.
Not to say I didn't also drink. I just... Not while I'm marching. I'm in a full wool uniform. If I'm drinking, I'm going to pass
yeah.
out. This was self-preservation.
Very true. Yeah.
Nice.
Marching uniforms suck. They are so heavy. Anyways, Fiona helps that family some more as Carl comes home to his uniforms torn up as Cassidy has decided Carl's not going back to military school.
Which is very not cool. Those uniforms are fucking expensive, dude. That's Jesus.
The one that gets me...
I was going to ask how many dollars of uniforms this was, Vic.
Dude, $80 per on average, tops and bottoms, so $160. I didn't count how many she tore
There were
up,
several.
but she also threw his duffel bag up to
Yeah.
on the top of like what appeared to be a telephone pole or something. Jesus, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And just casually says, I've weighed the pros and cons and made a decision for the family.
Yep. They settle on getting married today. They just need his fake ID.
Yeah.
That is...
Oh, and when they quickly had a fight and made up, and she kisses him, she gave him the crazy kisses. This is
Yeah.
always, you can tell if someone's crazy when they come at you and go, that sent chills down my spine.
The one
Kisses.
bright spot in this
Yeah.
is they're using fake IDs. This marriage isn't legal.
You can't get a marriage license with IDs. You need birth certificates, depending on what state you're in, I guess. But at the very least, for Michigan and Ohio, I have not looked into Illinois. But I am a registered officiant. I have officiated 15 weddings, and I have to walk people through this bit. So when, like, Michigan has a 3-day waiting period.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I put this in my notes. I was curious about this, but go on.
Yeah, and Ohio has a similar one. I don't remember how many days it is, but it's been like 8 or 9 years since I've officiated a wedding in Ohio. But yeah, 1 day seems kind of forgiving, to be perfectly honest.
Dude, Texas has no waiting period.
Really?
No waiting period.
just
So
go and do
also,
it? Okay.
also New Mexico, both, because I've been married in both those states. Long story, but anyway, yeah. And I always thought that was strange, that there should be a waiting period, that there wasn't. I thought there wasn't, because when you get a divorce, there is a 30-day waiting period. And I felt like it should be fucking opposite. If we swapped those out, there would be less divorces in the state if you made the peoples take some time to think about it.
Victor, I'm glad you were talking about the waiting period. I thought you were going to say in Texas, they actually prefer it if you marry a 15-year-old.
They probably fucking do. Just backwards ass state. Ugh.
As soon as Fiona let these people into her apartment, I'm just like, oh no.
When she's like, they've been in the bathroom for 2 hours, like, that's the point where you know you don't let them stay.
Yeah. That. I got the vibe that it's the mom here who is doing all the scandalousness. She's masterminding the whole thing, and the poor husband and the kids are just, and the dog are all just along for the ride.
Yeah.
She's a low level Frank, in my opinion. She's not as bad as Frank, but she's
I mean,
getting
she's
there.
at least with her family. Like, I can understand.
Yeah, at the
like,
very least,
I'm a
with the
mom.
family,
We
yeah.
are outside in Illinois. If I have to scam somebody to have my kids inside, I'm scamming somebody to have my kids inside. Now, when you get to the, like, what happens later, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy, but...
Yeah.
Speaking of scamming people, speaking of scamming people, Frank is back in the t-shirt business again.
We've got a little... I think Fiona talks to Trevor to get help for that family first.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, go ahead. I'll edit it out.
No worries. So Fiona talks to Trevor, who
Still is a concern.
Ian's boyfriend from last episode, and also my first never see a character prediction to show up again.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised. I didn't think he was going to come back either. And this is, once again, I put in my notes, an example of Gallagher's getting having boyfriends or girlfriends that are way better than they deserve because he is actually really concerned and very helpful.
Yeah.
And just, God, you fucking Gallaghers.
Right. But yes, it's good to see Trevor again. Trevor does social work and helps Fiona find a shelter for that family. Then we get what?
Oh, and then we see that Frank is once again back in the t-shirt business, repurposing what appears to be hot dog stand t-shirts with trying to turn them into the Church of Gay Jesus logo.
I'm wondering if these are from the diner.
With the hot dog, yeah, that might be. He says he's all like, Ian, look, it's like a big throbbing wiener. It's perfect. It's like, oh,
At least he's
yeah.
supportive, I guess.
and his line that he said there, where he says, "Come on, Ian, we didn't pay Chinese sweatshop workers for these. These are made right here in America." And I'm like, no, Frank, you paid your son Liam nothing to make these for you. He's there hand drawing the Church of Gay Jesus around all these hot dog logo T-shirts. Just, poor Liam. At least you got a 3DS this episode, buddy.
We then cut over to the funeral, where Lip finds out he's not the super special boy he thought. And
Oh, it's much worse than that for Lip.
yeah,
Everyone talks about their super positive relationships with him, and he was a drinking buddy, and he died of alcoholism relapse, or alcohol withdrawals, rather. And so it is clear not only is Lip not special, Lip is also the reason for this dude's death.
That
Is what he walks away from here with.
Okay, I didn't catch that at all, but yeah, that totally makes sense. I was going to say, I would have thought that Lip was special because he has a key to the guy's house.
that's what he thought.
So-
but then everybody giving the eulogies is saying the same things he was going to say. I don't know. I think it was largely Lip is just like, but what we had was special. And no, I was the smartest and bestest boy. And that's why I was taking care of him. And yeah.
But later he gets, well, we'll get to that when we get to that scene. So
Yeah.
Also, this is where I
that
get
was
to
a heavy
remind
scene.
everybody,
Yeah.
just throw me in the lake. I don't care.
Yeah, that's what my dad said.
I saw a funny thing on Facebook saying, I have 2 requests for when I die. 1, spread my remains all over Disney World. 2, I don't want to be cremated.
Oh no.
I want to be dumped in a lake with like 7 gold doubloons and half of a map in my pockets. Just make a mystery. Let it be fun.
Nice. Back at the Alibi, Lana gets set up for her second date, and they make her look slightly less provocative than the first date. She comes in wearing a black dress, and her line, she says, "I look like the fucking first lady." And you know what? I looked up when the date this aired. She actually kind of does look like Ivanka Trump or whatever the fuck her name was. I wondered if that was a jab at the actual first lady at the time.
Yep. We also have Fiona here with Ford, who is just like, bro, you have never asked me a single question. You talk. You've not asked me a single thing. And then he goes and says a bunch of shit he knows about her that he found out from other people. Like, this isn't fucking creepy. Do not kiss. Run for your fucking life.
Yeah, he
This
says
dude
he
is
finds out things about her.
creepers.
She asks around, and Fiona's totally into it. Like, no, Fiona, stop. Ben, get your squirt bottle. You're going to be like, no, Ben.
Yeah.
Right. Bad Fiona. No, bad.
We also find out
This
in
dude's
this
creepy.
she was left at the altar by her junkie fiance.
Dude, that was Steve. Had
Well,
to be Steve.
Had
It was
to be
probably Steve, but guys, let's get weird with it.
Let's get
Oh, give me a second. I'll go first. Let me just
Who's
load
the
my.
weirdest one?
Let me load my Let's Get Weird with It app.
Oh,
Right
no,
here.
just pick a character,
Yeah, just-
Vic. You don't,
yeah,
need,
you don't
the
need
app.
the app.
Here we
I
go.
don't- I don't remember.
Just look at your notes. You'll find something. I'm going to say that this was all a giant insurance scam, this wedding. It was a faux wedding for insurance reasons where she was getting married to Kev. Because Kevin V found out that their marriage never actually got finalized or something. And so it was a whole thing. And so she goes to get married to Kev for some insurance shenanigans bullshit scheme that they're going to do. And Kev can't do it because he loves V and he's a junkie.
I think it was, I forgot his name, but it was from the second episode we
Adam?
saw. Where it was the one with the crazy wife with the baseball bat baby. Yeah, it was him. He got back together with Fiona, and after he divorced baseball bat lady. But here's what happened. He told her that they were divorced. They were never divorced. They were still married. And then on the way to the altar, he ran into his wife, who threw a chocolate shake at him and just ruined the tuxedo. And then they had an argument there in the middle of the street. Like, what the hell? Do you know the deposit that I paid on this tuxedo? And she was like, I don't care, blah, blah. I'm the mother of your children, and I've still got the baseball bat. And then they had sex in the back of the van right there, and he never made it to the wedding.
See, I think it was...
I would say that I don't think that's weird enough for a get weird with it. That's just on par for the show.
Pretty much.
That tends to be the case.
See, I'm going to say
All right, Ben, what do
that
you
it
got?
was Sean. She thought she was going to get married to Sean, and everything was ready to go. And he's like, actually, I'm sorry. My friends came up, and love is one thing, but pals is another. And he and Kiefer Sutherland both mount horses and ride off because they have to go fight the bad guys.
Regulators!
Yes, my Let's Get Weird with it as we find out that Shameless is canonically Young Guns.
It's a prequel to Young Guns, somehow. It's a prequel. There's time travel.
We get a scene with Kevin being the absolute fucking worst at speaking in metaphor. It's fun. Frank is selling T-shirts outside of a hall. When Ian wraps up, we see him there hawking. Some of these T-shirts have phrases that I'm not going to repeat on radio because I don't want to say some of these words
those are
out
going to be
loud.
my ringtones.
I was surprised that we were still using some of these words on television in 2018.
Xhafer, when we
wow, I
launch the
didn't-
Patreon, can we have a Patreon level be Xhafer records some
A ringtone for you.
ringtones?
Listeners in the Discord, let us know. Post what you want Jafar to say?
What would you be willing to give us Patreon money a monthly for? Is it me reading custom ringtones in radio voice? Maybe some dulcet tones? Do you have some bad news to deliver to a friend or loved one that you would really just like me to read to them so that you don't have to? Think
That's a
about it.
great service, actually. That's a brilliant idea.
Lip, I'm guessing, it looks like last time on, Lip became a motorcycle mechanic.
Well,
Yeah.
so he's in like all of these. This professor was an engineering professor. Lip was in engineering school, and so I'm guessing that these were some passion projects he was working on the professor with. Maybe it's a lab class or something.
Oh,
So I got to ask you guys. I'm guessing. Okay. I'll just come out and say it. Were they fucking?
no.
Because my gaydar is terrible. Like, I will admit I have a horrible gaydar, but then I'm like, he has a key to his house. He's a very big emotional attachment to this guy. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Guys, I went 10 years after seeing Deep Space Nine it's the internet that informed me that Garrick and Bashir were
They weren't.
were Garrick.
Fucking-
They
were.
weren't.
I had a very
They were.
No.
yeah, no, it's confirmed by the writers. Oh, you're saying? Oh, Ben is saying that Professor.
Oh, no,
Lip
both.
were not.
I'm saying Garrick was into it. Bashir wasn't. You guys, like,
Oh, Bashir
fans
was.
wanting it doesn't make it happen. Also, Garrick was bi. Stop making bi erasure saying he was gay.
Whoa,
No, this is
whoa,
just a
whoa,
general-
whoa,
Yeah, we can have a whole
Whoa.
other episode about
Well,
this.
there's no bi erasure for Garrick.
I have
here.
seen lots of bi erasure for Garrick.
Well, it's because his one
You can
his one
be-
romantic relationship was so forced and so horribly written.
Oh, yes, but it's also
It was
Star Trek.
terrible.
Yeah.
Listeners, take a shot. We talked about Star Trek twice now.
But anyway, Lip breaks down, throws stuff around this motorcycle repair bay.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Carl and Cassidy spooning in a twin bed. Where I'm just like, oh, geez, that takes me back to college. Like, I'm
Yes.
so glad I have a king size bed. I love you Stay the heck over there.
Yeah, watching that scene hurt my back, dude. Damn.
Carl wakes Cassidy up so that they can talk, so that he can sleep, about waiting. Perhaps waiting a little bit, maybe, before they get married. But before we see how that plays out, Fiona and Ford bang it out. And then she has to ask him to ask her a question about herself still.
This is where we
Girl.
learn that Ford has some children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Fiona says a very strange thing. She says, "Is it weird that I'm the only woman who doesn't want to have your kids?" And he says, "I don't want to have my own kids." And that somehow Fiona is more endeared with him now. She goes, "Oh, you're a deadbeat dad too? Oh, fuck."
Sometimes all
Fiona-
it takes is an accent.
Fiona, I'm talking to you directly. We don't need to get to predictions for me to tell you that we don't need to see this guy again.
Yeah.
She gets a call from Nessa warning her about the guests, and they have another half dozen people in that apartment.
Trash in the place.
Yeah. Like the listeners in the Discord, this actually happened to me when I left Austin to move to Fort Worth, and it's very long and painful and uncomfortable, embarrassing story. Let me know if you want to hear it. We'll make that a Patreon goal. You can hear some of Victor's embarrassing stories in life. But
Patreon goal. You'll tell a story, and I'll tell the story about how I almost sued the TV show Supernatural.
yes. Oh,
And
dude.
then I'll tell the story about how
Brilliant.
Xhafer was almost sued by the...
That one requires enough story that I don't usually bring it up.
Yes, cut that
the kind
out.
of thing
That is
you
just
hear
for
about
you,
me,
Victor.
and yeah, that's for you. That's the kind of thing where it's all like, you have to know me well enough to know that I'm not an utter piece of shit, so that I've got time to explain that story once you hear it. But admittedly, it is one of those things where once I feel like I've hit that point with someone, I do like to casually drop it in conversation so that they get really confused and worried for a minute before I then
Oh, dude.
I was threatened to be sued by.
Man, we got to get this Patreon thing started because I will fucking donate to hear this story.
It's not the lead up to the story is significantly more shocking than the story itself.
Yeah, no, the best stories usually are. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. What happens next?
So,
I-
Ian-
Over at Trevor's social work, Ian puts up a flyer and starts a conversation that turns awkward real quick.
Yeah. This is one of those things. Ian went to the church last night instead of going and talking to a bunch of kids about being an EMT, and he knew he was skipping. And so it's one of those things like, he's like, "Sorry, it was just so last minute." It's like, man, you could have told him, "I'll see you next week. I've got
Yeah.
a pre-engagement." And that guy, the preacher from this church, seems really cool, and I'm really hoping there isn't a swerve here, because like, I really like this character and I want to keep liking him. Please don't hurt me, Shameless. But he seems like the guy who you would have just been like, "Hey, I'll catch you next week." He would have been like, "Awesome, more time to tell people about it."
Tabitha's on the porch waiting for Lip. She found a draft of a letter of recommendation for Philip. He reads it, and then she cries. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, except how
Lots
did
of
she
emotions.
find him? Because it's a draft of
It's a letter
It's a
pen.
draft of a letter. I'm guessing it's
It
not
was in
addressed.
an
It was in
envelope.
an envelope with nothing on it.
It must have been addressed.
I'm sure this is the first plot hole we've ever encountered in this show.
Also, it's a letter of recommendation, so it probably has his address right in the top because
That's
you
true,
send it
yeah.
to multiple places. So you use this address to show that it's a current letter of recommendation. I've written these
I
letters.
don't know, I've never had a letter
Like-
of recommendation that had my address in it. Also, I was disappointed because she tells Lip that actually, no, you were the specialist bestest boy. And I'm like, Lip really could have just really needed a little bit of air let out of his balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but
Cassidy-
I'm agreeing with your take on it that Lip was his drinking buddy. That I'm thinking Lip ruined this guy's sobriety. Like, this professor
Yeah.
was probably like 10 years sober, and then he met Lip, and he had
It's
the
like,
fucking.
oh, let's go grab a drink.
Yep.
I've got one in the office with us
Yep.
right now.
It's the Gallagher effect. They fuck over everyone. So, speaking of which,
Cassidy fakes suicide.
Yeah. Did you see the look on her face when she heard Carl coming up the stairs? She was like, "Yes, it's time for me to do a fake suicide."
Well, I don't know if it was fake. I think it was, if he saves me, it means he loves me. And if not, then I'll be dead. It felt like 15-year-old dramatic. Like I've read too much Anne Rice and Sylvia Plath.
Yeah, but also you don't know how to tie a noose.
Yeah.
I mean, you might, but she doesn't. Like, I don't think there's any true intention.
As I take a
behind
sip
this.
out of my mug with different knots.
Yeah, I was speaking to her, to Cassidy.
There's not a noose on here, but like I could do a bow line.
Yeah. There's other knots that will get the job done.
Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah.
with
Oh, great.
my string so I can practice my knots.
So Ford
Anyways,
drops by and gives Fiona an Italian-made tea kettle, and I just want to ask you guys, what the fuck is up with guys buying appliances for Fiona?
It's a weird choice. I'm guessing this happened to someone in the writer's room at some point, and they just are working through their shit. Fiona brings her chair back to the Gallaghers so that it doesn't get shit on anymore. Talks to Fiona. Fiona takes Ian to the sermon, and the house is packed. He says maybe 30 words, and the audience is going wild. I don't know about you guys. This felt way too scripted for something that wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
This did not feel genuine at all to me.
This is one of those things where it's like, I appreciate you can't show a full speech. Like, we can't have, like, unless we are doing, like, an incredibly daring, like, that episode of Homicide: Life in the Streets that is just Andre Braugher doing a interview until he gets the guy to break, and that's the whole episode. Or the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they do the same thing as a joke because we also have Andre Braugher. But, like, I've delivered enough speeches where I'm just like, it takes a lot of work and a lot of practice, and like, it was pretty good for the 90-second speech it was. If that was all he did, everybody would have just been like, yeah, all right, what's left? I drove all the way across town for this?
Yeah.
Debbie's scab welding goes poorly when a pipe breaks and crushes her foot. And speaking of foot injuries, that guy that fell off the roof is now suing Fiona for $6 million to end credits.
Can I just say, I am quite disappointed with the editors in this scene, because it could have been 30% funnier than it was. Like, it had such potential to be a real hilarious moment at the end of a very somewhat heavy episode, an episode that has some really heavy moments. But she delivers it, she reads it, and the actress who plays Fiona is great. She did a great delivery. The editors, this was terrible, because her last words were, "What the fuck?" And then she has that moment, that pause, and then she goes, "What the fuck?" And you know what? F-bombs are funnier if you cut them off right midway and then credits. But no, the camera lingered, lazy ass editing, you motherfuckers. And as an amateur,
give us a second less episode.
Yeah, as an amateur editor myself, or can I say I'm a professional now? Am I professional? Yes.
You're not getting paid.
Xhafer, send me cash at me. Send me $1 right now.
We paid you in snacks.
There we go. As a professional editor, now I can say that disappointed. Anyway, did you see the after credit scene where Carl and what's her name? Cassidy are like legally married now. Mm-hmm. Well, illegally married because they're underage. Yeah, they're taking wedding photos.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. Very strange.
Anyways, that's the end of the episode. Let's roll some dice. I'm not changing the dice for Shameless because we've already been going, but my formula to determine the dice has changed as part of formalizing everything for the patent pending.
Okay.
So we would be rolling different dice, but we're going to continue on with what we've been doing for Shameless. That is a 15, so we're going to be skipping ahead to Season 9, Episode 12. You'll know the bottom when you hit it.
Season 9, Episode 12.
When a blackout strikes the south side, Kevin and V try to unite the neighborhood. Carl grows suspicious of Debbie's attempts to befriend Kelly.
Oh, we should have done our predictions before this, shouldn't we?
No, you do it after.
No, we always do them after.
Do we?
We always do them after I read the episode, so that way if we know a character name shows up or something, or... Yeah, we get that little piece to help us with the predictions.
Lincoln, what are you doing up there?
guessing. I guess no one's coming.
I have seen into the future. You ruined the prophecy.
So I will say
for it.
daytime, Deb gets a huge, for a Gallagher, payout.
She's a scab, so I don't think
I'm
she
thinking-
would, but
Yeah, I was
we'll
curious
hear it.
about that. How does that work? Do scabs get?
She can't. I'm
Get
thinking
insurance?
it's a, hey, here's a pile of cash to not sue us. So people, so nobody knows we've been scabbing. Like, we're actually more liable because you are here working non-union off the clock.
By the way, I wanted to ask this earlier. Does scabbing actually pay that well? Because they gave her $400 cash for not even a full day's work or a full night's work on the first one. And then is
I
that
know
actual-
a pipe welder, and he did all right for himself, and I believe he was union. I don't know how much scabbing would pay for it.
Listeners in the Discord, have you ever scabbed, and how much does it?
Yes,
does it
more
pay
black
well?
market economics for my.
We need to know
Yes.
these things. Come on, help us out, listeners.
All right, my evening prediction: Svetlana gets married to somebody cool. I just think she's gonna find somebody awesome. And then my prime time: Cassidy's parents hunt down Carl and make them get divorced, even though the wedding wasn't legal. Because that feels like something they're
one.
going to gloss over.
All right, I got another 3 we never sees.
3 we never see.
Daytime, we never see Tabitha again. Evening, we never see Ford again.
I hope so.
Prime time, we never see Cassidy again.
Which one was Tabitha?
Ewan's daughter.
Daughter Durif.
Oh, right. No, I'm thinking.
I think she's in more episodes.
Yeah,
I think she's gone by season
You
9.
get a Dorif in a
episode 12.
TV show, they show up for maximum 2 episodes.
That's a
And
good
you're
point.
like,
That's
man,
a very good
why
point.
didn't you use them more? They're awesome. I'm thinking of both Babylon 5
so-
and Voyager.
So for my daytime prediction, next time we see Debbie, her foot's going to be completely healed. It'll be like it never happened. My evening prediction, Frank is going to get injured at least one more time.
Safe bet, safe bet.
And my primetime prediction, hang on, let me think of something.
Ninja Attack.
By the time next time we see Ian, his fame will have fizzled out. It's just going to be forgotten.
Well, with all that said, there's only 26 episodes left after season 9, episode 12. Minimum roll is 4, max is 22. So we have somewhere between 2 and 7 episodes left.
Oh, wow, that's a big variable for you, Xhafer.
It's worth knowing. And with all that said, we've got to say thank you to Ripe for letting us use Goon Squad. Thank you so much for letting us use Goon Squad as a theme music. We really appreciate it. You can listen to them on all your favorite streaming services, and they're also touring this summer. Go see them, please. It's worth your time.
And thank you to you, the listener. Thank you for making us make this show possible. If you enjoy our podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes or Facebook, and we'll give you a shout out here on the show. And if you don't like our podcast, why the hell are you still listening to my voice right now?
I don't care. It's still listen.
Stop. Good. Actually, yes. Never mind. Even if you don't like our podcast, leave us a good review.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Have all your friends who hate our podcast download it. It's fine. I don't care.
Yes. Hate listen to it. That's a thing. Yeah, I know it's a thing.
And feel free to join us on Facebook at the Last Time On Listener Lounge. The password to get in is Wahapaher. And join us on the Discord. Lots of cool stuff happening there. And we'll see you next time on Last Time On.